Good day, guys. I hope you enjoyed this new series. I got all positive feedback so far, but I am going to try something new. The music seems to be disturbing to some, so I'm going to remove all background music and would like to know if you prefer these videos without it. Today was May 10th, 2025, and here's the news that has caught my eye. First, the Department of Government Efficiency just reported that after more than 35 years of failed modernization attempts, OPM, or the Office of Personnel Management, announced that, as of June 2nd, they are replacing their 65-plus-year-old paper process with an all-digital alternative. This will reduce the average time people wait to receive their retirement check from 3 to 5 months to less than 1 month. Airbnb co-founder Joe Gebbia joined the Doge team and took the lead. Just 5 days after a pilot test of 25 retiring federal employees, OPM is rolling the system out to the federal government as a whole. Do you remember what a foobar it was when the Obamacare website was launched? What are your thoughts on this? Do you still store your paper documents, or have you moved to digitalized documents? Certainly most have when it comes to photos. Personally, I still like to have a hard copy, so I'm up in the air about this one, but I remain open to progress if we have the ability to use quantum encryption on government computers. I don't think we are there yet, but it's in the future. In yesterday's Beyond the Veil, Chief Justice Roberts was under the microscope. Today it's Justice Amy Comey Barrett. The Senate Committee on Judicial Ethics had quite a few questions regarding why she apparently lied about her connections to deep state figures like Michelle Obama and George Soros. And the Democrats are trying to deflect because Pam Bondi represented Pfizer once in her legal career. I remember when Hillary Clinton tried to discredit a child victim against her client, a child rapist, and nobody cared. Also, the Supreme Court ruled that the Trump administration can use the Alien Enemies Act to deport illegal immigrant members of the Tren de Aragua gang, saying, "These are enemies of our state." The vote ended 5-4. Amy Comey Barrett voted with the liberals to keep these gang members in the country. Indiana Republican Senator Joseph Barron threatened Barrett that she better come clean or she will face impeachment and removal. What have you heard about Justice Barrett? On May 9, 2025, Newark Mayor Ras Baraka and Democratic Representatives Bonnie Watson-Coleman, LaMonica McIver, and Robert Menendez Jr. stormed the Delaney Hall ICE detention facility in Newark, New Jersey, demanding entry. The visit led to a confrontation with ICE agents, resulting in Baraka's arrest for trespassing after he ignored warnings to leave. The lawmakers deny claims by the Department of Homeland Security that they stormed the facility, asserting they entered with consent to exercise their oversight authority, and they are partly right. I did check, and members of Congress have explicit statutory authority to conduct unannounced oversight visits to ICE facilities without prior notice. This right is codified in the Department of Homeland Security DHS Appropriations Act, which states that DHS cannot require members of Congress to provide advance notice for such visits. My observation, however, was that this is not how unannounced inspections work. I conducted literally hundreds, maybe thousands of unannounced inspections in my capacity as a government agent, and not once did I or my agency ever assemble a crowd of protesters and call the media to conduct one. Mayors, on the other hand, do not have the same authority. Their ability to enter an ICE facility without notice depends on being invited or obtaining prior approval from the ICE field office. He thought that he could break the law by coattailing on the Congress members, but he was arrested for trespassing while the members of Congress were given a tour. Mayor Baraka tried to shut down the facility, saying that they don't have a state permit, but unless they are privately operated, federal facilities don't need a state permit. After they were given a tour of the facility, Representative Bonnie Watson Coleman admitted that the detainees are being treated well and the conditions are okay, but she continued to spew anti-ICE rhetoric. So what's the deal here? Do we change the laws to rein in these radical members of Congress who are spending more of our time and money obstructing the president and fighting for illegals than the American people? If you have noticed, the radical leaders coming out of the woodwork are people that most of us have never even heard of. Are the usual suspects too culpable, so they are laying low? Have they already been secretly arrested or detained? Are doubles real? What are your thoughts? Trump appointed an interim U.S. attorney for the District of Columbia, aka the Swamp, and it's none other than Judge Jeanine Pirro. In addition to an extensive judicial career, Piro had become a beloved media figure until she lost the Democrats when she joined the Fox News network and began to passionately support Trump. What do you think, guys? It's going to be pretty hard for the left to say that Trump doesn't value women in government service with all the women in high-level positions of his administration. Another nail in the coffin of voter fraud. Mesa County, Colorado postal worker Vicky Lynn Stewart and an accomplice were arrested on voter fraud charges. They allegedly stole ballots, forged signatures, and illegally cast them. There have been a lot of these types of prosecutions, so I'm thinking that publicizing election fraud is not currently a priority. But I'd like everyone to know that there are still arrests for voter fixing going on in the background. Also, Mike Lindell has been in the background for a while, but he still is part of Trump's circle. What do you think? Are people waiting in the wings for the veil to be lifted on the corruption that they have worked on and put so much money and time exposing? I just can't help but think that this is a finely tuned operation, and while timing cannot always be predicted, the next move has been. The media talking heads took another hit yesterday and will soon have to change their misinformation focus. On May 8, 2025, President Trump sealed an awesome US-UK trade deal that's a big win for American workers. It wipes out tariffs on UK steel and aluminum, cuts car tariffs from 25% to 10% for up to 100,000 UK vehicles, and opens the door for US beef, ethanol, and other farm goods with tariffs dropping from 5.1% to 1.8%. This deal puts American farmers and factories first while keeping protections for industries like tech, making the U.S. stronger and richer, just as Trump promised. The Democrats are already trying to mitigate the importance of this deal by saying that it's easy to make a deal with one of our closest allies. My question is that if it was easy, why didn't they do it? So what's your take on this? Assuming that a movie is playing out, is there any significance to the UK being the first big deal? The royals are very entrenched in the deep state. Is this a capitulation? Was the UK the second choice after Canada, who's still not on board? Remember, Trudeau was not part of the capitulation tour, but the Queen was. Is this a precursor to the capitulation of Canada since they are under British control? Time will tell, but personally, my hubby is an ex-Canadian, and it's about 50-50ths with his friends and family. Some can't wait to come to the U.S. Others are still supporting the deep state control. On March 9th, President Trump just fired the Congressional Librarian, Carla Hayden. She was nominated by Obama, and she was fired because of her failure to remove DI propaganda and inappropriate books for children. My first thought was, what children go to the Library of Congress for books? They probably don't, but the Library of Congress is the largest library in the world for the preservation of knowledge, including children's literature. The literature in this library writes history. What are your thoughts? Should we preserve this period in history where soft porn and mutilating treatments were pushed on our children? It seems to me that there's a place to memorialize what occurred, but the U.S. government has a responsibility to frame this history in the right light for future generations. Don't know. Should this filth be removed from our history? On March 7th, President Trump's administration yanked $400 million in federal grants and contracts from Columbia University, slamming the school for not doing enough to stop anti-Semitic harassment of Jewish students during pro-Palestinian protests. Columbia's interim president, Katrina Armstrong, vowed to work with the feds to restore funds by tightening protest rules and boosting campus security. What do you think? We've discussed the term white male before. It's a clean way to exert influence to achieve compliance or capitulation by allowing them to basically pick their money source. The deep state or the new and improved U.S. government. No wars, just deals. This is a tough one regarding what we preserve. What are your thoughts? The district court interfered with the deportation of a radicalized student using our educational system as a platform to incite treason. Her name is Rumeysa Ozturk, and she's been in custody for 6 weeks. Ozturk was arrested in Massachusetts and is being detained in Louisiana, but District Judge William K. Sessions of Vermont is ordering the Commander-in-Chief of the United States to release her. In March of this year, all of the usual Democrats in Congress decided that they have the right to be the defending attorneys, judge, and jury, and demanded that 10 separate 2- or 3-part interrogatories regarding her arrest and specifics of how it was handled. It's not real hard to figure out. There's a Getty photo of her holding a sign saying "Abolish ICE." I can't afford to pay the $400 they want to show you the photo, so I linked it in the description of this video along with the Democratic demand letter. I have, however, saved a copy of the photo just in case it should disappear. So there's probably a million questions that most have about this situation, but the big one to me is if Congress has the ability to stop Trump from deporting people, why don't they go into session and write a law? Of course, there is the obvious question of how in the world could a district judge have jurisdiction over someone in a different state and over the executive branch? Does the Constitution require that we issue a visa to every foreigner? And lastly, does this have anything to do with the lawsuit filed against Chief Justice Roberts? So that's the end of our second Veiled Truths. I need your feedback to create the content that you need, so I am so grateful for any input. Also, don't forget to let me know what you think about nixing the music.